What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to O'Leary's Garden, where life is a garden. Today I want to talk to you about why you should be growing your own food. And I'm going to take this talk, we're going to start it way back in the very, very fundamental idea, and that is freedom. Now, I have some notes that I've written up here on my computer that I'm looking at, so I will be looking back and forth. I will do my best not to be too robotic with it, best as I can be. Okay, so with that, we're going to dive right on in here. Freedom. Freedom is responsibility. To truly be free, or as free as our current systems of control will allow, you first have to make a huge decision. And that is the decision to take full responsibility for yourself. To be free, in the true sense of the word, is not only to be without oppression, but to be without dependence. Now, oppression and dependence walk arm in arm, just as freedom and independence do. I'm sure we've all heard that somewhere before. Freedom and independence, hoorah. And that means that you, as a creature, as a man or woman, a critter, person, human being, you're responsible for yourself. It's your life. It's your body, your health, your job. You are responsible for your food, your housing, your shelter, your water, your clothing, needs and wants. It's on you. That can be a scary thing to come to terms with at first. I think it is for a lot of us when we first start to move in this direction, especially because of, the way that society has conditioned us to be nowadays, to believe that this centralized, globalized big brother is responsible for our well-being. But that is not the case. And that's not how I want it. I don't know what you want. I hope you don't want that. I'm not here to debate that with you. But, like I said, that's not what I want. Because after all, it's my body, it's my health, it's my responsibility. Now, that being said, food is very important. You eat it every single day. And personally, I don't want to be told what to eat. And I don't trust this centralized industrial systems that treat biological systems of food production like a machine to be in charge of what I eat. You may call me a hippie or whatever you want, but I like to know my food. Not only does it mean that I can see all that went into it and know what I'm eating, but it means that I'm connected to and involved with this entire ecosystem. That I'm a real part of it. I get to see everything that's going on and take part of it. The loop is closed when I harvest my food. Not when it's harvested and loaded onto a truck and brought to a factory where they handle it and process it and package it and load it back onto another truck and then take it to a store where they put it on a shelf till I decide I need it and I go buy it. Now, Joel Salatin says in his book, there's just one. Well, he's got a lot, but just this one in particular is called Folks, This Ain't Normal. And this ain't normal. He says in that book, as recently as the 1940s, 50% of America's produce was grown in people's backyards. I'll link his book in the description. It's a really, really good read. A huge eye-opener. It will change your life. I would highly recommend it to every living person on this planet. It is not natural for us to be eating so much corn and soy. And it's in everything. Everything that you buy on that shelf is high fructose corn syrup or soy. It's one of those two. And it's not good. You know what's normal? Walking out your back door in your bare feet to your garden and picking out the ingredients you want to put in your dinner right off of the plant. And not even having to wash it because there's no pesticide dust on it. There's no chemicals. You can eat it right off of the plant. Did you know that? It's delicious. It's one of the best feelings in the world too, going out and doing that. It's amazing. Turn your pantry into a grocery store so that you're not dependent on that centralized system to keep you alive. If we can't manage to do that ourselves in our homes, if we can't take control of our house at that scale, I don't understand how we're thinking that this whole centralized thing is going to work. If we can't do it this big, how are we going to do it that big? We've got to take responsibility for our own households as a people. All of us. We need to change the way we function as a society in that way. And the only way to do that is to start with you. You have to do it. Do it in your backyard. Start taking care of yourself. Grow your own food. Become a little more self-dependent, self-reliant, self-sufficient. All of those things. So that when these things like COVID-19 happen and the grocery store shelves are a little bare, you're not running around terrified. You've got some stuff in storage. So when you start growing your own food, you're naturally gonna have this abundance. You're gonna make way too many tomatoes. Yeah, I mean, just one or two tomato plants, you're gonna have more tomatoes than you know what to do with. And you don't want them to go to waste. They can always go to the compost pile, which will help you next year. But it'd be even better if you could learn a couple of ways how to preserve them and put them in your pantry. And then you could eat them, you know, even though you grew these tomatoes and you cooked this sauce a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever. You have a lazy day or whatever, or you know, you run into that stuff with the grocery store. You got plenty to eat. But say you are a little lazy, you know, you want something easy to whip up together for dinner, and you got a can of spaghetti sauce or chicken noodle soup or chicken broth or whatever. I got in my cabinet, I've got corned beef and cabbage, I got pea soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken stock, baked beans, excuse me. Technically, you made dinner. You just made it a couple months ago. Now, by talking to you about this today, I'm following, answering a call to action, responding to one that got my attention some years ago from a redneck hippie duck farmer. And I want to see these things change. And that's why I'm talking to you today. Because it really matters to me. And I'm trying to teach other people, trying to get other people to look at things the same way, because I honestly think that we as a people would be so much better off if we went back to this. It's not that, you know, every time you say this, people go back and they want to say things like, yeah, back then people died of all these different diseases and whatever. It's not like we have to give up all this modern technology. It's just that some of these things that we've gotten away with or gotten away from, we shouldn't have. We shouldn't have broken this cycle of being a part of where our food came from on a personal level. Raising chickens, doing your gardening. Even just to go back to Joel Salatin's book, which I'll put a link. I already said that, didn't I? Put a link to that in the description. Going back to that book, know your farmer. At least do that. Take a little more control over your relationship with your food, one way or another. If you're not going to grow it, I think you should. Even if it's a couple of tomato plants, you can get away with it in some places you might not think you're able to. And then lead by example. Influence your neighbors. Teach your children. Bring this back to us as the American people. This needs to come back in our lives. It's not going well without it. It's really not. I guess with that, I'll be putting out more videos. I'm gonna try and help teach you how, and show you what I'm doing, as well as trying to provide you with resources of other people who have already done this and who know more than I do, because I'm not some kind of genius. But I am passing that call of action on to you. The one that struck me from the redneck hippie duck farmer. Can't talk now. It's your turn. Get into it. Thank you so much for your time. If you enjoy the things that we're trying to do here, please consider supporting us by doing your Amazon shopping through www.o'learylink.com. I'll put a link in the description. Thank you again for your time. Take care.